So this is, I call this the federal CDL manual. This is the version that is sort of like a template for the states. So the one that we're concerned with is, right now we're just focusing on getting the general knowledge exam taken care of. So I'm going to tell you right now, to get that, you need to study introduction, driving safely, transporting cargo safely, and 11, which is vehicle inspections, 12, basic vehicle control skills test, and on-road driving. So let's just take a look at the driving safely version. This is your chapter, section 1. Sorry, let's get to section 1. I don't know what I did. See if I can go back. Nope. So we're just going to scroll this up to the table of contents again. Okay, introduction. So your introduction is going to cover essentially what you need to be concerned about is, number one, I'd say, how do you determine what kind of CDL license that you need, whether it's a class A, B, or C. So figure 1.1, that's the one we're looking at right here, pretty much explains, if I can go larger on that, how you determine what class of CDL you need. It's all pretty much based on weight. So these flow chart here explains. And now, for instance, if you need a school bus or you want to drive a school bus, you're going to need a class B. Likewise, if you, and generally, let me explain, the school bus, at least the one I drive, doesn't have air brakes. So you don't need to take the Section 5 air brakes or air brakes exam if you've just got hydraulics. But if you're driving, say, a city bus, you're going to need air brakes. So it would still be a Class B, but with air brakes. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, one thing I want you to notice in looking at this, Section 1 doesn't have any quiz questions, but Section 2 and 3 do. Here's the next thing, and I'll go more on that later. We'll actually take a look at a few questions. Here you see section, or actually figure 1.2, which explains what sections you need to study. Let's see if I can rotate this clockwise, counterclockwise. That's how I look at it. For me, it's a lot easier to determine. And what I do is I go back and I write down what each one of these sections is for. Of course, Section 1 is the introduction, Section 2, and Section 3 needed for the general knowledge, and also Section 11, 12, and 13. So if you're going to be driving a school bus, you need to study Section 10, 11, 12, and 13. Passenger bus, also school bus, you'll need to study Section 3. Plus, if your vehicle's got air brakes, you need to study Section 5. And then also Section 11, 12, and 13. And that's for a Class B. And Class B tells you right here, well, can't really go that way, but Class B, you need to study Section 1, 2, 3. Section 5 if you're driving, say, a city bus with air brakes or a school bus with air brakes, any vehicle with air brakes that has passengers. Section 11, 12, and 13. So, a school bus would be section 10. Also, passenger. You'd need that. So let me go ahead and rotate this the other way. So if you can see in this particular section, section 1, there are no quiz questions involved anywhere here. And I suppose there could be, but for whatever reason, there aren't. Now, if we go to section 2, driving safely, you'll see that there are quiz questions. So let's get to a few of those. Keep going, keep going. Here we go. Subsection, test your knowledge. And so here we go. Here are some questions that are actually in the manual that you can study. And we'll go over these. What is the most important reason for doing a vehicle inspection? I think one of the answers is to find a list of problems. What things should you check during a trip? There's another one. Name some key steering system parts. Name some suspension system defects. What kind of emergency equipment must you have? What is the minimum tread depth for front tires? For other tires? Name some things you should check on the front of your vehicle during a walk-around inspection. What should wheel bearing seals be checked for? How many red reflective triangles should you carry? How do you test hydraulic brakes for leaks? And also, why put the starter switch key in your pocket during a vehicle inspection? Okay, so let's go on to the next bunch of questions. Actually, I think I overwent them. 2.3. I think 2.3. Getting there. Here we go. This actually combines 3 sections, and we only look like we get, we're getting 10 questions. So in this subsection, 2.4, 2.5, and 2.6, we've got 10 questions. And the first one is, how far ahead does the manual say you should look? Okay, that's question number 1. What are 2 main things to look for ahead? 3. What's your most important way to see the sides and rear of your vehicle? Number 4. What does communicating mean in safe driving? Number 5. Where should you place reflectors when stopped on a divided highway? Number 6. What 3 things add up to total stopping distance? Number 7. If you go twice as fast, will your stopping distance increase by 2 or 4 times? I can tell you it's 4 times. Empty trucks have the best braking. True or false? That's definitely false. What is hydroplaning? What is black ice? Okay, so you should know those questions and the answers to them for taking your general knowledge exam. All right, so let's see what else we've got. Scroll down to the next batch of questions. Here we go. Subsection 2.7, 2.8. Test your knowledge. Number 1. How do you know how many seconds of following distance space you have? No, sorry, not how do you know, but how do you find out how many seconds of following distance space you have? Number 2, if you are driving a 30-foot vehicle at 55 miles per hour, how many seconds of following distance should you allow? Number 3, You should decrease your following distance if somebody is following you too closely. True or false? That's definitely true. If you swing wide to the left before turning right, another driver may try to pass you on the right. True or false? What is a hazard? Number 6. Why make emergency plans when you see a hazard? So you can see this is a long chapter or section. So I'm going to go to the next batch of questions in this section. So it's more than makes up for section 1 not having any questions. So subsection 2.11, 2.12, 2.13, and 2.14. Question number 1. You should use low beams whenever you can. True or false? Number 2. What should you do before you drive if you are drowsy? Number 3. What effects can wet brakes cause? How can you avoid these problems? Number 4. You should let air out of hot air tires so the pressure goes back to normal. That is false. I can tell you that right now. Because what happens, you take the air out of the hot tire, what happens when the tire cools down? It goes back to a normal pressure, but then you've taken the air out, so you're going to have underinflated tires, right? All right, number 5. You can safely remove the radiator cap as long as the engine isn't overheated. That's sort of a tricky one. It says overheated. That's the operative word. What if the engine is just you've been running it and it's still hot and it's under pressure? Do you still want to remove the radiator cap? It may not be overheated, but it's still hot and it still has pressure, or it's pressurized. So you have to wait to if you're going to remove the radiator cap, you have to make sure the engine is cool and there's no pressure there. So I would, before starting the engine, then you could, if the engine hasn't been run or it's not hot, then if the pressure is normal, then I would say, yeah, it'd be okay then. So these are some questions. You should know the answers to these before taking your exam. Let's go on now. Which one are we on? We're still on section 2. There's a lot of questions. Section 2 is a large section. So get to know these questions. They're right in your manual. Here we go. Subsection 2.17, 2.18, 2.19. Number 1. Stopping is not always the safest thing to do in an emergency. True or false? I guess that could be true. What are some advantages of going right instead of left around an obstacle? 3. What is an escape ramp? 4. If a tire blows out, you should put the brakes on hard to stop quickly. True or false? 5. How do you know if your vehicle has anti-lock brakes? Number 6. What is the proper braking technique when driving a vehicle with anti-lock brakes? Number 7. How do anti-lock brakes help you? Okay, I'm going to another batch of questions. What are some things to do at an accident scene to prevent another accident? Name 2 causes of tire fires. What kinds of fires is a B:C extinguisher not good for? When using your extinguisher, should you get as close as possible to the fire? Number 5. Name some causes of vehicle fires. Okay, and we have more questions. Subsection 2.22 and 2.3. Number 1. Common medicines for colds can make you sleepy. True or false? Number 2. Coffee and a little fresh air will help a drinker sober up. True or false? Number 3. What is a hazardous material placard? What indeed? Number 4, why are placards used? Okay, so that takes care of section 2. Let's take a look at section 3. Alrighty then. Okay, so here we go. Section 3. Test your knowledge. What 4 things related to cargo are drivers responsible for? Number 2. How often must you stop while on the road to check your cargo? Number 3. How is gross combination weight rating different from gross combination weight? Number 4. Name 2 situations where legal maximum weights may not be safe. Number 5. What can happen if you don't have enough weight on the front axle? What is the minimum? That's number 6. What is the minimum number of tie downs for any flatbed load? Number 7. What is the minimum number of tie downs for any 20-foot load? Number 8. What is the basic reasons for covering cargo on an open bed? Number 9. What must you check before transporting a sealed load? So these are the questions. You can expect these questions to be on your exam, at least 1 or 2, or several more, depending. But I would know what the answers, know the questions and know the answers. The questions are right in your manual, so you should be able to find them. Now, I also mentioned the other, I think it was 11, or you could just go back up to the table of contents. And I'll do another video comparing, say, this template CDL manual to, say, one of New York, one of Florida, one of California, and one of Texas. I think those were the most commonly asked for. So now let's go into a vehicle inspection. So just click on the link. Now, looks like they've got 2 main categories here: internal inspections and external inspections. So internal inspections are, I would presume that they are internal to your vehicle, which could, I guess, let's just look at it, could include the engine compartment, but and the inside of the cab. Well, here it says steering. So it looks like external inspections, all vehicles, it would be like the outside of the vehicle where you're not actually sitting. So internal would be inside the vehicle. External would be outside where you sit. So let's take a look at some of the brake lining. Here we go. Rims, fuel tank, see if go back to the, I know I'm going really fast here, but they say engine compartment. So, well, is an engine compartment is that an internal one? Probably. Okay, so internal is basically everything, not including inside the cab and inside the engine compartment. External is everything else, I believe. So let's get back and see if we can find some questions, which I'm pretty sure this does have questions. You know what? I don't see any questions. I stand corrected. I thought this section had questions, but I'm not seeing any. No, I'm not seeing any questions at all. So I take that back. Section 11 does not have questions, but I would read this anyhow just to be familiar with it. You're going to need to do it when you actually do a vehicle inspection. In fact, it's pretty rigorous, the vehicle inspection. So you probably need to actually study this very well and also be able to do a vehicle inspection very proficiently. because you're going to be in front of a like a DMV inspector or examiner who will be testing your skills. So now we get to vehicle control, or basic vehicle control skills test. And I don't believe there's any, then there wouldn't be any questions here either. But this is the stuff that is necessary for you to, you have to do this in front of an examiner, so you need to be very familiar with these procedures here. Now going on to the last one, which is Section 13. Off-road driving. Let's see if there's any questions here. I'm not seeing any. So there you have it. So really the only two sections for general knowledge in the CDL manual that have, there's two sections that have questions that you can review are Section 2 and Section 3. So you could say those are some of the most important questions for the, or some of the most important sections for the general knowledge exam. So I know I haven't put out a read-along study guide for Section 2 and 3. That's in the works. I'm working on it. I'll get that out soon. So, but I would suggest once you have read the material, go back and review those questions. In the meanwhile, I'll be working on a program to take those questions and put them in a quick like question answer format like my other videos. I think what I'll do is also put some sort of link or maybe a notation that tells you where to find a particular answer in what page, what section, that sort of thing. So that will help out. So thank you for watching. I think this concludes this particular video. That should do it. Have a nice day.